This is why I think Dalinar colon. This is venturing into spoiler territory for Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. If you don't want to get spoiled, then you should stop right now. Thanks. And we'll lose the Contest of Champions to Odium. We'll go ahead and quote the exact terms of the agreement that Odium and Dalinar came to. Bear in mind that this was not Taravangian as Odium, this was Race as Odium. Taravangian is free to interpret this as they will, but the terms that we've reached between the two of them, and this is Dalinar starting speaking to Race Odium, the final terms are these: a contest of champions to the death. On the 10th day of the month, Pala, 10th hour, we each send a willing champion allowed to meet at the top of your Ethereal, otherwise unharmed by either side's forces. If I win that contest, you will remain bound to the system, but you will return Alethkar and Herdaz to me, with all of their occupants intact. You will vow to cease hostilities and maintain the peace, not working against my allies or our kingdoms in any way. Agreed, Odium said, but if I win, I keep everything I've won, including your homeland. I will remain bound to the system and will cease hostilities as you said above, but I will have your soul, to serve me immortal. Will you do this? Because I agree to these terms. And I, Dalinar whispered, agree to these terms. It is done. The terms are set. Effectively, if Dalinar wins, then Odium or Taravangian Odium will remain bound to the system. So a key point to first hit on is that Odium is going to be bound to the system. We get the idea, right? Odium's main goal is trying to get out of the system, and I think Taravangian is going to share that same goal. As we know, whenever a person inherits a shard, they initially keep some of their will, but then eventually the will of the shard starts to overwhelm them. So Dalinar has to pick a champion, and we all think that Dalinar is going to pick himself. And I think that Taravangian, as Odium, knows that Dalinar is going to pick himself, because Dalinar, as we've seen, doesn't want to risk anybody else. He doesn't feel like he can send anybody else. If Taravangian knows this, then how does he win, right? And the way that he wins is by giving Dalinar no choice but to surrender or give up. He knows that Dalinar is strong-willed. He knows that Dalinar will do anything at this point to win. But there's a key factor here, right? And I think that that is Gavinor, son of Elhokar and Aesidon. I've seen Dalinar sort of fostering a relationship with him a few times, but he hasn't really found a place where he fits in yet. The only key point that we know about Gavinor, personality-wise, that seems to differentiate him as a character, is that he recognizes who Moash is, and he recognizes that Moash is the one that killed his father Elhokar. The reason that this is important is because I feel like, personally, we know that Moash serves Odium. I feel like Odium will offer up Moash to Gavinor in some way, shape, or form. I understand that Gavinor is a child, but I feel like he will try to manipulate Gavinor into becoming his champion, whether he understands exactly what the terms and what that means or not. And I think that this is going to be a situation that Dalinar can't win. I don't see Dalinar being able to harm Gavinor in any way. So if it comes down to a contest of champions and he is faced with his grandson, I don't see that being a battle that he can fight. So at the Sunlit Man, we get a snippet of the Scadrians. They are very well aware of what the Alethi are. They ask about his oath status. They ask if he has a blade, right? So this is interesting in the sense of the Scadrians at this point have had interactions with the Alethi. Concern that the Scadrians show about an Alethi when they see Zelian, they're skeptical of him. They're concerned of him as a warrior, as a fighter. And I think that that implies, at least at that point, that to the Scadrians, the Rasharans have been out in space. They've been waging war. And I think that Odium is going to defeat Dalinar. And I feel like Dalinar at that point will become Odium's champion and go across the Cosmere waging war. I think Taravangian is witty enough that we would see him make this play, picking a situation that Dalinar just can't win. I feel like the Moash and Elhokar conflict where Elhokar ends up getting killed, I feel like there may have been an element of foreshadowing or maybe just an echo of what's to come with this battle, because it's very interesting to me that Moash at that point was representing the forces of Odium, whereas Elhokar was about to speak his first oaths and being struck down in the process. I think it was gut-wrenching when it happened, but I feel like there's still more to come from that scene. I feel like that scene as a whole greater represents something that's going to happen in Stormlight.